Hey guys, Matt's Nice here, and today I have decided to take another look at r/Entitled People. Once again, I only got 4 stories lined up because these stories can get ridiculously long. We're gonna start off with this one. My child meets her first Karen. So this happened earlier today. My 13-year-old daughter was sitting on our front porch in a rocking chair, enjoying the weather. She was wearing a pair of pajama pants and a cropped tank top, with her knees drawn up to her chest. A woman drove by, then circled around. That woman proceeded to get out of her car, walk to my daughter sitting on the perch, and to yell at her that she's too exposed and needed to put on more clothes because her outfit was distracting the woman's son. My daughter told the woman that she was dressed and that what she was wearing was perfectly fine. The woman proceeded to yell at her over and over that she was too exposed and how dare her parents let her wear crop tops, she was controlled by the devil, etc. as my daughter walked into the house. This is where I love my kid. She got the plate and gave it to us. We filed a police report of harassment. Here's hoping the quick word from the cops will be the end of it. There's no update to the stories, but I love how casually she this kid just like, yeah, I'm gonna go inside, make sure I have the plate, give it to my parents, and the parents took care of the rest. But the Karen drove around like multiple times. Like, you didn't need to circle around. You could have just gone and be perfectly fine. And what proof is there that the son was in the car? Babysitting means paying the kids' dental bills. Here's a fun one. Years ago, I would often babysit my neighbour's 9 or 10-year-old daughter. He was a divorced father with the kind of ex that would spend spreadsheets of child rearing expenses calculated to the penny and weekly invoices, complete with terms and penalties of her own choosing for late payments. He paid big child support and generally paid her invoices on time because she would cut off access to kiddo if he didn't. His ex, the snake, and I had basic text messaging contact. She and I had a previous dust-up because a sudden weather change necessitated a jacket for kiddo. We popped into the nearest discount store and I let her pick the jacket. Kiddo loved it, but her mother threw a giant fit at me because it wasn't brand name. I blew it off and the neighbour and I laughed about it when he reimbursed me. She gave me the silent treatment. Darn. Time moved forward, the father always reimbursed kiddos' expenses and encouraged fun and healthy activities. One day he called me and apologized that he was getting held up at work and kiddo had an orthodontist appointment. He asked me to take her, I agreed, and he called the dentist to authorize. We got there and they wouldn't see her without a payment. $225. It was necessary, kiddo's braces were hurting her. Dad wasn't available, but I knew he would reimburse me, so I put it on my credit card rather than call her snake of a mother. Kiddo got patched up, Dad reimbursed me, I paid the card and didn't use it. A few months later, I got a past due call from my card company. Repeat charges from the orthodontist. I let Dad know and called the orthodontist, who told me I signed an automatic payment agreement. I gave my heck no, I'm just the babysitter speech and didn't get far with them. So I cancelled the card. Dad apologized profusely and reimbursed me. A month later, I get a nasty call from the orthodontist about my card declining. I kindly informed them I'm not the parent and provided the snake's phone number. About an hour later, the snake is furiously calling and texting me. I silenced my phone and looked later. She maxed out my voicemail and all of her text messages were about how I was abusing her child by denying the kid medical care. One voicemail from the police let me know she filed a complaint and how I could get a copy from my attorney and inquiring about whether I wanted to file a counter complaint. I sure did. I moved out of the state and the prosecutor called me once just to ask questions, then I never heard back from the prosecutor. Last I heard from Kiddo's grandmother, Snake took a plea bargain, Dad got custody, and Grandma was spending a lot more time with Kiddo. And for clarification, friends, credit card fraud is illegal. Charging stuff to someone else's card is credit card fraud. She basically ratted out her own self to the police by filing a complaint that I wouldn't let her steal from me anymore. She probably pled guilty to theft by deception, forgery, and or both, or a combination of similar charges. I have never cared enough to try to find out. And there is nothing in the world that obligates me to pay for dental care for someone else's kid. That is a strange stretch. Just no. That's not a thing. Wow. Just stealing from the babysitter. What? That's just dumb on many levels. Why do you feel the need to steal from the babysitter? I walked out over a chair and my family tore itself apart. I wasn't gonna come back here again. To be honest, I completely forgot I made this account. I only got back in because I'd written down the password and left it in my desk. I was listening to Reddit videos on YouTube a couple weeks ago when I suddenly heard my old Am I the A-hole posts. So I thought I'd give an update. Oh, this is an update to another story. Okay. Well, things escalated a lot after I made that post because I linked it to my parents and other family members after a little while. They were furious at me at first. Some even mocked me, saying things like, "Oh, watch what you say or do around OP. He might just post about it on Reddit." But when they actually read the comments on my posts when I made them, they became mortified. My brother-in-law did agree to pay for a new chair and gave me the money I asked for. I bought a better folding chair than my last one and resumed going to family functions. But whenever I was there was this air about some of the family members. They looked at me like I sucked all the fun out of the room. My parents had stopped thinking the chair thing was funny and even scolded the kid for taking my seat when I got up to use the bathroom. The only problem is that this kid was my nephew. And he started crying when they made him get up. My brother-in-law came to the boy's rescue and my nephew ended up blurting out that his daddy told him he could do it. When I was out of the bathroom, there was a big fight about it going on. Several family members, including my sister and brother-in-law, were all yelling that it was just a damn chair and I shouldn't be so butthurt about it. My parents demanded to know why they were so butthurt about not being allowed to screw with me anymore. Like, what was their motivation after doing it for so long? It made no sense and wasn't funny anymore. And that's when I intervened. I told them none of this crap would ever happen again if they hadn't been so intent on messing with me when there was really no point to it. And I only started bringing my own chair because I could never find a stable place to sit. And if they still thought they were in the right about the situation, then they were just bullies, plain and simple. And what kind of example is that to be setting for their son? My brother-in-law raged, grabbed my new chair and hurled it through the living room bay window. Oh! There was a bit of pause before he realized what he'd just done. Then he took off in his car and left my sister and nephew there. Oh, damn. My parents got my sister to call him, and over the phone they threatened to go to the police if he didn't pay for the damages. Brother-in-law yelled a few F-bombs until my sister took the phone back. And she said that he can either make things right or she'll divorce him. Ooh. Well, that did the trick because he came back looking like a kicked puppy with his head hanging low. He apologized to me and my parents without even looking at us, and he paid for the new bay window and left again. My sister said he drank himself to sleep that night. Oh. My new chair was just fine. It took being hurled through a bay window like a champ. There was hardly a scratch on it. My brother hired a window company to come and replace the window. They had to measure and order a new one before it could be installed, and until then the window had to be covered with plywood. It took some time, but they got the new bay window, and it's better than the old one, though I imagine it was extra expensive because it's a bay window. The family was still divided about the situation for a while, mainly brother-in-law's parents, my uncle, and a couple of cousins. They blamed me and called me obnoxious over insisting on bringing my own chair and refusing to let anyone else use it. So I compromised. I said that if I had a good designated seat that no one will try to take away, I'll leave my chair in the car. It took 2 more family barbecues before they finally agreed to this. Ever since I've left the chair in my car, unless there really wasn't enough seating, and that's only happened once since. The problem is though, that even though they stopped screwing with me, they were still screwing with each other until things went too far. They still like to take each other's seats. I guess others were following my example because they put their feet down and demanded it stop. It's been going on for decades and they had enough. Brother-in-law stayed out of the fight entirely and hasn't caused any more trouble. But for several family functions, a number of people didn't bother to show up. My mother was broken up about it because she loves hosting parties. It took months, but everything more or less normalized again. But without the chair thing going on, some have resorted to other stupid pranks. Like a little device she hooked to a chair that makes farts. They didn't do this to my seat, but did it to a cousin. And said cousin got really petty at the next party and let out real farts. He said he ate a whole pack of fiber bars and had eggs for breakfast. And damn, it was nasty. Other pranks included hiding eating utensils, a stink bomb, hiding some sort of monster thing in the toilet, cellophane in a doorway, ripping paper from somebody when somebody bends over, messing with drinks, hiding shoes, copying outfits, a container of foam packing peanuts above a doorway, and finally the one that really infuriated my aunt and uncle when the party was held at their house, a glitter bomb. Oh my gosh, why a glitter bomb? They got the car for professionally cleaned and billed the person who made the glitter bomb for it. So now pranks are just over. They don't want any more. I'm fine with that. But the last few family functions have been a bit dull. I think they're so used to how things were that now they're trying to find other ways to amuse themselves that don't involve cell phones. Edit, the chair is a National Public Seating steel folding chair. I bought it online for around $80. It's got a thick foam vinyl covered pad on the seat, and it's pretty comfortable. It's just like the last edit, it's just like free advertisement for this chair. Oh my gosh, this family literally just went scorched earth on themselves with the most ridiculous pranks. Entitled host tried to keep me from eating at nice restaurant. So my wife, Zena, and I made reservations for a very nice restaurant that opened up in January. However, due to it being posh, new, and apparently had excellent food, me, wifey, and myself had to wait until last week to order to get a spot there. So we got a babysitter and a nurse for my granny-in-law and got all dolled up to go. Took my wife's car since it was brand new. She didn't want anyone but herself to drive it. So she dropped me off at the door and went to park the car. Now it's important to note that we did call earlier and confirm the reservation, so the host was there. Now I am well dressed up. A nice suit, nice haircut, clean shaven, nice shoes, literally the opposite of me right now. looking like a man of culture, and not as the tradesman I normally am. I guess at this point I should mention that I am not fully white. I'm Irish American on my dad's side, but more importantly, I'm also half Cuban that comes from my mum's side. While I do mostly look like my father, I have darker skin, brown eyes, and black hair like my mother's side of the family. From the way the host looked at me, I just knew this was going to be a problem. He had the face of a man that was witnessing a dog taking a dump on the carpet and scrunched his nose like he was smelling its poo. I was thinking I should wait for my wife since the reservation was under both of our names, but he spoke first. Can I help you? His tone clearly said that he didn't even want to look at me. Yes, there is a reservation under Phil and Cena, last names. E.H. Looked at the list. He was clearly not really reading it. No, I don't see your names here. Oh, I experienced this sort of crap my entire life. I tried to remain as polite and professional as possible. Check again. My wife called and confirmed the reservation. He checks again, shaking his head. No, there is no one here under that name. Perhaps you and your wife are at the wrong restaurant? Yeah, I knew arguing with this guy was going to get me nowhere. So I just wished him a good evening, turned around and walked right outside. Celia was just about to enter the building as I was coming out. What's the matter? So I explained about how racism was being a pain again, and she sighed. What do you want to do? Well, we got the reservation and a night to ourselves. I want to try the food here, and I'm refused to let that snot get in the way of that. So you go in, confirm the reservation, then I'll come in. I hate to say it, but it's a tactic we had to use in the past in order to get into restaurants. Edit. I should mention that my wife is white, hence why we did this. Most cases, it's just the host that gives us the problems. If it's the service as a whole, we would leave and leave a poor review. Still, it's fun in a way. It's still fun to see my wifey go in, get us a table, then me walking in to sit with her. The host just looked like he swallowed something really sour as I sat down across from my wife. I half expected him to say something, but he just turned his head away. The service was lovely, the way we had was polite and quick, and the food was wonderful. But every so often, the EH would look over at us and just frown. I saw him turn away to more couples that weren't up to his standards. Well, our evening was still wonderful. Despite the nasty looks we got, we still enjoyed our food. Of course, my wife called the owners and let them know what the host did and tried to do to us. She let the owners know that she would not tolerate such intolerance from a man that was turning away business. She adds that such a host would eventually cause the restaurant to get a terrible reputation, and they would get into a lot of trouble over it. Well, 1 week later, I was talking to some neighbours and found out that the EH was no longer working there. Rumour has it he has turned away over 200 customers. Not sure if it was true or not, and got fired over this. They hired someone that was much nicer, though soon I wouldn't find out until November when we go back again. Still, it's not the first time, nor the last time, that this will happen to me. Yeah, it's still nice to see racist people like that getting wrecked in the end. Whoo! If you're gonna be that type of person, you gotta be respectful, no matter what. Whether the person's from Africa, whether the person's from Asia, all parts of the world, you don't discriminate. I'm glad that guy got fired. Anyways, links will be in the description to the main channel and also the second channel that you're on right now to go check out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so the next video comes out. A ding, ding. I'm the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.